As children of the kingdom of God, we welcome you in the name of the King of Kings.
In his name and after his example, I come not to be served, but to serve.
King Charles III was crowned King of the United Kingdom over the weekend, the first coronation the UK has seen in over 7 decades. An audience of 20 million UK viewers tuned in to watch the coronation. The figure is smaller than when an average of about 29 million watched the late Queen Elizabeth II's funeral last year. Joining me right now is global business consultant, royal commentator Hilary Fordwich. Hilary, great to have you this morning. It was a wild and really incredibly interesting weekend. Your thoughts on the coronation?
Yes, thank you for having me again, Maria. Actually, you're totally right about those numbers in the UK, but what's very interesting is typically British, everybody sort of underplays what's coming up. In America, we always talk about getting psyched about things. They don't in Great Britain. There was this quiet lead up. In fact, the polls said that most people weren't going to be doing much. And yet it actually ended up that every single person seemed to be at either a party or a brunch or a luncheon watching it. And I think that's why the numbers were down. People actually ended up doing much more than was predicted. And it's actually been shown since then in polls and in that reign throughout, obviously, all the parades and everything we saw along the Mall. They were still there waiting and witnessing. So it ended up being more than was predicted and people gathering.
The traditions and the pageantry was so interesting to watch. Prince Harry is already back in the United States now. He was pretty much sidelined at his father's coronation ceremony. He sat a few rows back from the royal family. First Lady Jill Biden represented the United States. She was seen sitting in the back row as well. Hilary, your thoughts on all of that?
You're absolutely correct again, Maria. A few things here. Where Prince Harry was seated, Princess Anne was right in front of him. That's the Princess Royal. She's King Charles's sister, and she is known to be rather stalwart. And of course, she had a hat with a plume on top, blocking his face from the cameras. Nothing the royals do is by mistake. And yes, you're right, Jill Biden, she was back in the last row in Westminster Abbey, right in front of the toilets. Of course, Biden had just visited Northern Ireland, but wasn't able to go to the UK. And he touts his Irish roots, not his English roots. The name's Biden from West Sussex. But also, very interestingly about Prince Harry, yes, he scuttled back to the US, and he wasn't in any family photographs, Maria. So he won't even be a footnote in history. And poor Archie, just think about this. There on the balcony at the Platinum Jubilee, we saw the Queen with the Duke of Kent. The elderly gentleman was her cousin. Cousins stay close together. Don't you think that when Archie is older, he'll say, how come I wasn't there, Mummy and Daddy? Just like Prince Charles was. At 4 years old, he was witnessing his mother's coronation. So Archie could have been there, they could have been there, and they could have been on the balcony. What a pity, Maria.
That is really interesting. So how does this play out over time now that he's pretty much out?
You're absolutely right. Well, think about it. Time is not on his side. He, many years ago, was quoted as saying he knew he had a limited shelf life as soon as Prince George was born. Now, we saw the crowds go actually crazy when the carriage went down the Mall with Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, obviously, and he had the double wave on the balcony. We saw that double wave. I don't know if you noticed that. He stole the show also with the Queen at the Platinum Jubilee. As those 3 children are growing older, the world's eyes are going to be on them, the fascination on them. Whereas, what does Prince Harry have to do? He and Meghan have really run out of their bombshells, or will they drop more bombshells? And last but not least, it was rather sad that just a couple of hours after he walked up the aisle at Westminster Abbey, Dior was tweeting out and putting on Instagram quotes about him wearing their suit. Now, Alexander McQueen, that dressed both the Princess of Wales and Princess Charlotte, they were radio silent. Had Prince Harry been paid? We don't know, but very sad that he was basically marketing merchandise at his father's coronation.
Wow, that's incredible. What issues do you think will be brought up under the king's new reign?
I think, obviously, he was interviewed because we all know that he's been rather political, and I would say somewhat left-leaning. He's been political over the years, but he was interviewed previously, and he actually was posed that exact question, what will your reign be like, and will you be as political as you've been? And his answer was, I'm not that stupid. So he can't be political anymore, Maria, because in a constitutional monarchy, just like his mother did very adeptly, he must stay above politics. But you will see, and you did see at the concert last night when they had the drones creating effigies in the sky, there was that big effigy of a whale, and they were singing at the time, "Remember Me." And I wanted to say, oh, you mean remember those whales that are being beached and up on the beaches of New Jersey because of all the wind farms that are killing them? But I didn't go there. But a few things. Yeah. It will be about the environment because that's what he cares about still. But I think he's got a tough road to hoe, Maria, because he has to stay above politics.
All great points, Hilary. Thanks very much, Hilary Fordwich.